This
Hey,
conference will now
um,
be recorded.
take it away, Brittany. Welcome, Brittany. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you got started with being a hair care professional?
Sure. So my name is Brittany. I've been doing hair for about 6 years now. I went to a Paul Mitchell school. Um, I currently work at Air Beauty Bar, which is in Woodbury, and I've been there for about 3 years now. So I know today we're gonna kind of talk over like how to trim our bangs and just a little questions as far as what we should do with our color. I know it's really hard that we can't, go and get it done. And I know it being in your face, it's annoying. So hopefully with these tips, and of course, if you guys have questions, I can answer them for you and kind of make it a little bit easier. So without further ado. So first going over hair color, that's more of the trickier one, I would say. As much as we don't like seeing gray, or especially like with highlights that grow out, we want to try to avoid coloring our hair at home, especially staying away from box colors that you can get at like Target or Walmart, because uh, although they might work, a lot of the times they don't work and it actually damages your hair. And when it comes time to going back to the salon, it's going to cost you double the money and it's going to compromise your hair as well. So I really strongly would say stay away from that, especially before I even did hair. I was using box color and a lot of my hair would fall out, and then I would go to a salon, they would try and fix it, and it was just a mess. So what I would recommend is doing more of like a temporary. They do have, I did some research that way I can kind of give you guys some easy answers and prices. So for Amazon, they have a thing called L'Oreal Magic Root Spray. And what that is, it's a temporary spray and you just spray it on your roots and it's going to completely get rid of the gray. So they have anything, anywhere from blondes, browns, black, red, and that washes off in the shower. They also have, oh, I'm sorry, and then the L'Oreal Magic is around $8 or so. Then there's a Style Edit, same concept. They come in powder and spray, but that's a little bit more on the pricier side. That's $26. And these are all through Prime and regular Amazon as well. Through Sally's is more for the consumer. You do not need to have a license. So with Sally's, they have brands from Age Beautiful to Ion. Age Beautiful costs from $7, and then Ion is around $12. As far as the brand, it doesn't really matter what brand you use. It's pretty much the same thing. It's not going to color your hair. It's just going to temporarily color your hair. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend spending that money for it. The cheapest one works. So that I would really recommend. Now, if you're like, I'm going to color my hair, I'm going to do it, I don't really want anything temporary. If you're going to do it, which again, I do not recommend, don't do box. If anything, you can order from Sally's. Just keep in mind that, colors differentiate. There are levels in color anywhere from a level 1, which is black, to a level 10, 11, which is platinum blonde. Although it might say a level 5, each color line is different. So you can say I'm a level 5 and it pulls up 6 and it's warm, and you're usually like ashier. So you also have to keep that in mind because each color line pulls warmth, cool. And then again with that, if it is the incorrect color, going back to the salon, you're going to have to pay extra. And we don't want to do that. It's already expensive as it is, which I get. So if you're really going to get color from Sally's, I would recommend getting I have it written down here. I would recommend, again, the Age Beautiful, and I would recommend any Wella L'Oreal. So again, I highly not recommend that, but I know sometimes we kind of get in our mindset. I know that a lot of salons as well, you can check with your local salon. They have to-go color, basically. So it comes with the color, of course, gloves, brush, bowl, and that way everything's prepackaged, it's sanitized, it's clean, and they drop it off or you can come pick it up. So I definitely check with your local salon as far as that, because that would really help you because you know what color you're gonna get and to make your life a lot easier. And then when you do apply your color, you only want to get the gray. You don't want to overlap because again, it's going to show banding and then it kind of looks like stripey in a sense. So putting the box color aside and putting Sally's aside, that's the number one thing that I would recommend. You can also like check on Instagram and all these local salons that are doing it, and you know you can speak with a stylist and do that as well. Does anybody have questions for color or anything?
So if you guys have any questions, type them in the chat box, but I do have a question.
Oh.
I have two actually. So my first question is I hear all these commercials for like Madison Lane, and it's like custom hair color delivered to your door. Now, as like a hair care professional, is that like a thing that you would trust, or are you better off trying to do like a consult with like a stylist? And are stylists like, I don't know if your salon is doing it, but do you know, is it kind of like a video consult? Like, how does something like that work?
So, are you talking about Madison Reed?
Oh yeah, maybe something like
Madison,
that.
okay. So Madison Reed is a professional color as well. But with that, you know, you want to make sure that you get the right color. I'm not sure how it is online. Is it you fill out a bunch of information and it,
I have no idea.
yeah. So I would recommend if you have Facebook, Instagram, or even like on Google, looking up salons and contacting them regarding what your color. They can do it through like sending a picture. You can do it through video call, and I would say that that's your best bet because they are professionals. You know, we spent 1,500 hours, you know, learning about color levels and all of that. And at the end of the day, it's chemicals. So we also want to be careful with what we put on our hair, especially our scalp, because a lot of us, myself in particular, I'm very sensitive. So certain colors that I use, I get red, feel a little bit of burning. So you just want to consult with a stylist and make sure that you're taking the proper steps. So I would say going on Instagram, going on Facebook, kind of doing your research and seeing what salons are available to do that. And they'll work with you. You know, unfortunately, with everything going on, everyone's on the same boat. So, you know, we're here for you and we want to make sure that, you know, you are taking care of yourself in the best way possible and not doing more harm than good. So that would be my recommendation on that.
Thank you. So we have a question that's coming in the chat, and it says, what if you don't normally do color on yourself or you're not a cosmetologist? How should you feel about ordering a color kit from a salon and doing color on yourself in that case? So when you get these color kits, do they come with like detailed instructions? Would you recommend maybe that we just hold off and we kind of tough it out and wait till the salon's open again? You know, how do you feel about that?
So, personally, I would just wait it out. I know it's really hard, and I myself need a haircut. And luckily, I don't have grays, but I know it sucks, but you guys aren't the only ones, so that's a good thing. You know, we're all in this together. But I honestly would stick it out because one thing that goes wrong, it's a whole color correction, and depending on a salon, most color corrections begin at $250. So, you know, normally when you go to a salon, usually like I guess like a touch up can go anywhere from $30 all the way up to $100 depending where you go. Um, and it would be the same if, you know, after waiting this long and going, so, you know, you spend that amount to spending 250 and up depending. So I would highly recommend waiting, um, because at the end of the day, you know, you never know what's going to come up. Even myself as a hairstylist, sometimes, you know, depending on what you use in your hair, you know, we like to ask clients about their history, especially like doing a lightning service. Sometimes clients don't fully enclose that information. So So, we always find out. We always find out in the end. But, clients that do box color, something else, like it doesn't lift and it pulls up like super bright orange and red. So, it would just be easier to kind of wait it out. But I'm sorry, what was the second part of that question?
Like when you pick up these at-home dye kits from like a salon, does it come with like a detailed like instruction, or is it just kind of like the materials and it's like, bye, good luck?
So, it kind of depends on the salon, to be honest. So I do it with my clients, and I like to give them the instructions. If they don't give you instructions, you can always reach out to them and ask them. But I can also kind of give like a heads up. So, so say this is kind of my regrowth right here from here to here. I don't have any gray, so it's kind of hard. You only want to get what you see. You don't want to bring it down because again, it'll overlap and then it will show banding and that doesn't necessarily look good. And then if you were to ever lighten your hair, get highlights or something, it's really going to throw off your hair in the lifting process. So I highly, 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 I keep saying this, but it's the truth. I would highly recommend waiting.
Thank you. We have another question. If you want to try color for fun but haven't done it before, do you recommend a less permanent kit? What would you suggest?
As far as color to cover grays or just color in general?
It says color for fun.
Color for fun. So when it comes to fun colors, if you're thinking of like vibrant colors or something, or even just regular colors, I would recommend a semi-permanent or demi-permanent. It's SEMI or DEMI. So those are they wash out after a few washes. Also keep in mind, if you're doing a color, a lot of these vibrant colors or just anything that's like blue, red, anything like that, it's going to stain your hair regardless. So it might say that it's demi or semi, but it's going to stick to your hair. So also keep that in mind. It's going to have a hard time. I did blue in my hair a long time ago, and it took me like 2 years for it to fully grow out, and my hair was damaged trying to go through that whole process. If you were thinking of just kind of putting like a glaze, I would recommend again with Sally's the Ion, which is semi-permanent, demi-permanent. And then you can go on Amazon from like Redken. I highly recommend. As far as like fashion colors, which is more like rainbow colors in a sense, I would stay away and go to a professional for that because that will be very hard to come out of your hair when it comes time to doing that. I recommend always going to a salon, but unfortunately with everything going on, we can. But we take we examine the hair, we see your history, and then we go from there. So I would just wait it out, but I would recommend a semi or demi. So a demi is less permanent, so that lasts up to I believe 4 weeks, and then a semi-permanent is a little bit more. It'll eventually wash out. Whereas like permanent, it's permanently in your hair and you get that regrowth. Whereas semi and demi, you wash it out, it washes out altogether.
Thanks. I don't see any more questions about color, but if they come up, I'll definitely let you know. So I guess the next topic is a lot of people have
I have another
seen it on
question.
the YouTube. Oh, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, it's not about color. It's the general treatments. What kind of treatments would you suggest for people that are in isolation right now? Like for everyone, or not necessarily? Because I know you don't know everyone's specific like hair type and everything and their hair history. But like, is there anything you suggest people to take advantage of like right now because of the situation, or would you just assume that somebody should just follow what they were doing or something?
So as far as treatment, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like a conditioning treatment
Yeah, like
or?
a deep conditioner or like anything like that. Just like anything you could think of, like an oil or anything like that.
Yeah, so I like to put coconut oil in my hair. Coconut oil, avocado oil is really nice. What you would do is you would just kind of rinse your hair, get it nice and damp, but not soaking wet, and just put it in your hair, sleep with it overnight. If you have a cap, put a cap on for like half an hour, and then wash it out. I like to do that. It's natural. Since it's natural, you don't really react. As far as like purchasing something, I would recommend Sally's also has like avocado masks that are really, really nice. They come in little packets, so they're small. You don't have to commit to a huge bottle or anything. And as far as growth, I've actually been doing this with my eyelashes. I'm like, listen, while I'm in quarantine, I'm gonna, do some self-care. And I've been putting
Yeah, I know
castor
how you
oil
mean.
on my hair and on my eyelashes, and they've been growing. And it's been about a month since doing so. So I always like to go the natural route. But honestly, I just stay away from Pantene, stay away from these like drugstore brands. Yeah, definitely stay away because that's going to wash out your color even more, and it's also going to dry out your hair. But if you go on Amazon, they have a Mica mask. Those are amazing. I swear by that. That's my favorite brand. And they have for damaged hair, moisture. They have it for everyone. Color safe, lock your color in. So that's what I would really recommend.
Great. Okay, yeah, 'cause I've been doing some at-home masks. I did mix my own avocado mask with actual avocado though, but I
Mhm.
forgot. Oh, I never heard of the one they sold at salads like you were mentioning. But thanks for the advice. So now I know.
Yeah, avocado is amazing for your hair, skin, everything. So even if you want to put some avocado, like kind of mash it up and even put a little bit of olive oil just to kind of help like lubricate it a little bit more, or coconut oil, that's great. But make
So
sure
we've
you
been
Okay.
wash
doing
your hair after that because
Oh, of
it's gonna.
course.
somebody wants to know, what did you say that you put on your lashes?
Castor oil. Yeah, and you just kind of put it a little bit on the line, but also there a little goes a long way. And then you go to sleep. I do it at night. Every night I put it on. And then I put it on my hair as well to help try and, grow it out a little bit. But be
Excellent.
patient because you don't think it's gonna work. And then one day you wake up and you realize like, holy cow, my hair is growing. So
Okay, so I have seen a ton of YouTube fails with people trying to trim their hair, cut their hair, all kinds of things like that. So if someone was going to be brave and cut their hair at home, what tips would you give them?
okay. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with TikTok. It's like this new trend all over, the internet, and people are cutting their hair for fun and dyeing their hair, and it's a disaster. And I cringe at these videos. As far as cutting your hair, um, definitely again wait it out. But if you can't, be slow, take your time. And I see a lot of people just taking a whole thing and just cutting it, or they tilt, and you want to make sure that your posture is straight. I would recommend not cutting your hair. I feel, especially with that, especially with these kitchen scissors, which is a lot what a lot of people have access to. They're very dull, and you're not really going to get the desired result in a sense. Um, but I would just take smaller sections, and like I would cut a little bit here and then keep bringing it up a little bit more, and just make sure that your posture straight, because I know a lot of the time we're going like this and then we cut it and then we do it to this side and then we cut it and then it's like uneven, and you don't want to have to go shorter and shorter and shorter. But I can show you guys too, like I have to cut my bangs, so I can do it with you guys, and that way you can kind of see, because I know the bangs as well, growing that out is the worst. So we can go over that. But as far as like the length, I would just say try and hold out as much as you can. Deep condition it, deep conditioners, mask, all of that, just to help kind of repair it in the meantime.
All right, you guys want to see her cut her bangs? Let's do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I have my scissors. So you just want to have like two clips. These are my clips. A comb, any comb. You want to try and have one that's a little bit smaller, like a fine tooth comb, or a little bit wider. If you don't, we can make do. And then just scissors. So hold on, let me just. Okay. So I'm not going to cut my bangs like front bangs. I'm just kind of cut these pieces a little bit shorter. So I kind of have a little bit of a guide and an idea of where they kind of fall. So I'm going to go from there. A good tip is when you have your comb, you want it to be flat on your head. So usually it's around right in the center, flat, and that's where you go from there. And then you're going to want, I'm going to keep looking back because I have a mirror here, so it's a little bit easier to see sometimes. And then you're going to want to do a triangle. Where the triangle ends, you want it to be right where the arch of your eyebrow is. So then another triangle, and then you want to make sure that it is even. I'm just going to pin my hair back. And you want to try and pin your hair back because you don't want to cut pieces by accident. And now, so depending on your hair texture, if you have curly hair, I would recommend blowing your hair out straight. Just because with the curls, it will spring up. So the less you cut, the better. You can always go back. You don't want to take like that huge section and then be like, you know, you blow them out and they're too short and they're up here. So since my hair is dry, I can kind of just cut how I like it. So I recommend doing it dry, quite honestly. And then also, even if your hair isn't curly and it's straight and you blow it out, it kind of comes up just a little bit. So also keep that in mind. So what I do is I'm going to take my triangle section. I'm going to take my fingers. You want to keep them flat and kind of twist your arm and keep them flat and then twist it again. So again, you want to make sure that the hair is not overlapping, you're not pinching it, that it's completely spread out. And then I just take it and I twist it all the way around. So the front piece basically is on the back, in the back facing you. Does that make sense? Or is that a little confusing? So I like them just a little bit shorter. So first what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna do it right across. And I feel like that seems about a good length. I don't like them too short. So again, I bring it back. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna wanna point cut. So I know that a lot of people aren't gonna have professional scissors. So when you do this with a kitchen scissor or whatever you have, just keep in mind, don't cut yourself. Be careful with that and just take it slow. You know, if you have to go back, take it down and see, you know, you can always go back. So I just kind of point cut it. And what that's gonna do is get rid of that blunt line. And it's gonna look more natural and flow into the rest of your hair. And you just want to do that at the tip. I don't know if you guys can see, it used to be kind of blunt and now it's starting to kind of break up. And then you test it out. And so you see it's kind of starting to form. From when you twist it, it kind of creates that angle.
Yeah, you can see.
Because if you were to just kind of take it like this and cut it across, it's going to be like square. Because you always want to angle your face. So again, I'm just going to go back, do just a little bit more. And if you feel like you need to bring it higher, you can. And then once you kind of get that desired length, what you're going to want to do is, so when you think about a bang, it's usually shorter here and it starts to come out and get a little bit longer. So you always want to keep that in mind and create that angle. So a good tip is, if it's hard to kind of get that angle with your eyes, you can always use your fingers and create that angle with your fingers. So what I do is I take my fingers and I kind of bend them a little bit and create that little angle. And then again, I go in, and as I'm going in, I'm doing a little bit shorter on the top, and as I get to the bottom, it's getting longer. So you don't want to do all the same length, just round it out. And you see how you get that little angle. And then if you need to, I'm just going to mute it because I'm putting my blow dryer on. I don't want to kill your ear.
I will get to your question in a minute, Christine, but keep sending your questions in, guys.
Okay, when you blow it out, then you get like that better idea. And then again, same thing here. So I usually have a thicker bang on my right side. So I kind of just do a little bit with the left. And then what you can also do, make sure you're comfortable with it, is you're gonna wanna like slide cut it and just kind of blend it in. If you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just trying to get it out of your face for now until you're able to see your hairstylist. So what I like to do is to blend it in. I kind of see where my bang is and I just blend it in. You don't want to just always just go right in because once that hair is gone, you're never going to get it back. So again, and then it kind of blends in. So I don't like my bangs too short. I kind of like them just face framing. And yeah. And again, you know, you can do that blunt cut, but then make sure you point cut it, because if you don't point cut it, it's going to be very blunt and you're going to be like, oh, what did I do? So that by point cutting, it's going to be very natural. And again, make sure that you do not cut your fingers. Just go slow. It takes time, and use your eye. You know, don't try and rush and think, oh, I got to get it done. You know, take it down. If you need to blow it out a little bit to get that shape again, play with it a little bit. You know, see how you like it. It's just taking time to figure out what you like with your hair and not. So like here, it's looking a little funky. So I'm just gonna go back in, cut that off, and just kind of thin it out. And I think that looks a lot better than it was.
That was way better than a YouTube tutorial for sure.
Oh my gosh, I can see, like that's what I do when I'm
Yeah, it
bored
really was way
in
better.
quarantine. I watch these videos and I'm like, oh my Lord, do not do that. Cause I just see girls, you know, they put the ponytail and they just go in and they butcher their hair and they make like a cool video over it. I'm like, it's not worth the video, I promise you. It's really not. But again, I would recommend waiting for your stylist, but I know a lot of time we have like those bangs and they get in our eyes. If anything, just clip it back if you don't feel comfortable. But don't watch these hair tutorials. Do not watch them. I try to simplify it as much as I can. It's easier for me to explain it because I kind of know what I'm talking about in a sense. Like, you know, I have that training. So if you guys have questions like, oh, what do you mean by point cutting or anything like that, feel free to ask. Because I know not doing hair, it's a little bit confusing.
So we do have a question about point cutting. How do you know how many hairs to cut on the point cut?
So when you do the point cut, it's not necessary, it's not going to take off the length. Obviously, the higher you go, the more you go and the higher you go, it's going to eventually. The reason for point cutting is just to kind of get rid of that thickness and that blunt line. So I have a map that I can actually show you. So she's a little ratty though, so I apologize. So when you go to cut hair, it might be hard to tell, but you know, you go to cut hair and you're just gonna, sorry, I'm just trying to get the view. It creates, I don't know if you can see, you see how kind of blunt it is and it doesn't look natural in a sense. So by getting rid of that line, you're just going to bring it up and point cut. As far as how far you bring it up, you don't want to bring it up more than like half an inch, just very, very little, because you don't want to thin out the hair. You just want to thin out the ends just to give it more of like that natural fall. So about like, I don't even know if that's a quarter of an inch, very, very, very little. And then you go in and you see how it's starting, maybe that's better. You see how it's starting to break up that line? It's just going to give you more of that natural look rather than if you cut it here, it's just rather than framing your face. Does that answer your question?
I think so. I'll wait and see if, yeah, she said I think so. And we had another question, what salon do you cut hair at?
I cut hair at Air Beauty Bar in Woodbury. So they have two locations. They have one in Huntington Station, which is right by the Walt Whitman Mall. But I work at the one in Woodbury.
Okay, ladies, more questions.
I like the questions. Give them to me.
All right, I don't see any questions coming in, so in an effort to stall for time while people are thinking, oh, okay,
Yeah.
Yes,
do
that's
you
it.
cut hair wet or dry?
So, so what I like to do is I like to cut the hair wet first. Just kind of giving me that base, because sometimes, clients come in and, like right now I have a little bit of a bend in my hair. So, this piece might be a little bit more bent and this piece might be a little bit more straight. So I kind of just like to keep it wet at first, kind of work around the ends, trim off whatever you need at the ends, do a little bit, depending if you want angles or layers. I like to do this because if you have like wavy hair, every piece of hair and whatever texture you have, it's a little bit different. One piece might be naturally a little bit curly, where another one's a little bit more on the looser end. So I like to do it wet at first, just kind of doing the base of the haircut. And then what I like to do is I like to go in, give it a blow dry, and then I kind of check my work after. So if I'm seeing that maybe this side is a little bit more thicker and it needs to kind of blend in more, then I'll kind of go in and go from there and check, make sure that the layers are even, that the bangs, once they're blown out, how they're falling, make sure it's out of their face, make sure that it's framing correctly, and just kind of check that way.
Thank you. Do you have suggestions for boys' hair?
For cutting your hair? So that's a little bit on the tougher side. A lot of the time we use like buzzers and things like that. If your hair is just really short, you can, take a guard and just buzz the hair. But also you have to keep in mind what length you like it at. There's anywhere from a 0, which is completely shaved off, to a 4-5, which is, which is a little bit longer. That's a little bit more difficult. Men's haircuts are a little bit more intricate. If you make a mistake, you see it a lot more. I would wait on the cutting of the hair. If you want to cut, maybe your hair is too long at the top. It kind of depends on the haircut. Some men like to keep it a little bit longer on the top and kind of shave the sides. What you can do is just kind of same thing with the bangs in a sense. You can kind of just bring it up and cut it and just do that. But I wouldn't recommend that. It's a lot harder for men. I wish I can give you an easier answer and just be like, you just need to do this, but it's a little bit more intricate for men.
Well, thank
But
you for saying
can
that,
do
because
that.
my husband wants me to cut his hair and I am terrified. And now you've just validated all of my fears. So
I remember when I was in beauty school learning how to do men's haircuts, it would terrify me because as soon as you make a mistake, you can see it. Luckily, my dad, I'm able to cut his hair, so he has it easy. But everyone's on the same boat, so it's really, really hard. But as far as men's haircut, I would hold off on that.
All right. Our next question is, my hair is very fine and I have to wash it every day or it looks greasy. Do you have suggestions for how to cut back on washes?
Okay, so I actually went through this journey not too long ago. And since we're in quarantine and we can't really go out, this is like the best time to do it. So my hair would get greasy every 2-3 days, and that's not bad, but I was tired of, I do hair all day. I don't want to necessarily have to wash my hair and do all of that as well. So what I would do is hold out. If you wash your hair every day, your hair is going to produce more sebum and oil to replace that oil that you washed out. So what I would do is, if you wash your hair every day, start by doing it every 2 days. And it's going to be a little bit greasy. Put your hair back and kind of deal with it. But I promise you, after a month, you wait a little bit more time, and your hair will get back on track. I can go now, depending if I work out or not, I can go a week without washing my hair. And what I would do is I would just kind of hold out, put it in a ponytail, and then go from there. So I would say start every other day. Do that for about a week, and then start to do every 2-3 days and go from there. I know it's going to be hard. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, like I need to wash my hair, but I promise you, and if you need to use dry shampoo, then use dry shampoo. Dry shampoo is my best friend.
Okay, any more questions coming in? Ask them all. It's like a free consult with a professional. Oh, somebody said baby powder works good too. Is that true?
Baby powder is good. Yeah, it's good. You just want to be able to, the thing about dry shampoo is sometimes it can clog up your pores. So you want to be able to not use it so much, try to avoid that. What I like to do, a good trick to do, if you like to work out, or even like sometimes we sweat in our sleep, what I do is I will put dry shampoo in my hair before I work out or before I go to bed. And if it's white, that's fine. We kind of roll around in our sleep and it kind of brushes into our hair and it'll be gone. So what I do is I kind of, the way you should put dry shampoo on is don't do it vertically like your part. You're going to want to do it horizontally and do it in sections like this. So you just want to spray it in. And what I like to do, especially to like hold a blowout or anything, I kind of put my hair up and then I twist it and I lightly put a bun, and then I take a hair tie or so. You want to use like a scrunchie, not something too tight, and just put it in your hair like that. And do it super loose, and then you'll wake up in the morning after, with the dry shampoo. If you still see a little bit of white, just rub it in, and it'll actually preserve your blowout as well. But I highly recommend doing it right before the gym or going to bed, because that really helps give me an extra day in my hair.
Do people brush their hair 100 times every night like they did in pioneer times?
Believe it or not, I don't brush my hair every single day. Also, a fun fact is, or tip I should say, is when our hair is wet, you want to try to avoid brushing it so much. When your hair is wet, it's in the weakest state, so the easier it is to snap. So a lot of the time we see that hair in the brush. Losing hair is normal. We lose about 100 hairs a day. And if you keep your hair in a ponytail and it comes out and hair starts to fall out, it's just because your hair is like contained in that. So once it comes loose, it'll fall out. But I would try, like, if you dry your hair, I would just come out of the shower and dry it until it's not damp, but like I would say about 70 to 80% dry, and then brush your hair through, because your hair is a little bit more stronger to withhold that pulling. Or what you can do is in the shower, if you put conditioner in your hair, you can take a super wide tooth comb and brush your hair there, because you have like that conditioner, which is a little bit of a barrier to help kind of slide through more smoothly.
All right, checking the chat box. I don't really see any more questions coming in. I will say my fun fact is I have not brushed my hair in like 20 years. Thank you, dreadlocks.
Makes your life easier, right?
It sure does, but I have a daughter that has like very curly hair, and if you don't like maintain it every day, like at the end of the day, it actually is like mini dreadlocks.
Exactly. Yeah, my hair I wish I had some type of curl to my hair. When I was younger, I used to have super, super curly hair, like ringlets, and as I've gotten older, it just kind of straightened out. Believe it or not, my hair is straighter than this. It's just like pin straight, so I can easily not brush it. But it all depends on your hair type as well. If you have curlier hair and it gets tangled more, I would definitely recommend brushing it a little bit more often.
Do you put the coconut oil from scalp to ends or just the ends, and how often?
So as far as a treatment, you can do that once a week. It's very what's the word? Not potent, but it's more, why can't I think of the word? It's stronger in a sense. It's not diluted. So once a week would be perfect. I would try not to put it on your scalp. If it gets on your scalp, it's fine, but you don't want to necessarily just clog the pores. But if it gets on your scalp, you're totally fine, especially if your hair is wet, you're good to go. But I would say once a week. If you feel you need a little bit more, you can do twice a week, but no more than that. Also, what you can do is if you have, well, you can put your hair, you can put the oil in your hair. If you have a shower cap at home, perfect. If not, that's totally fine. And you can wrap your hair in a towel, put like a hot towel on it. And what the heat is going to do, it's going to open up that hair cuticle. So when that hair cuticle opens up, it's going to allow that product to go more into the hair and really, really repair from the inside out. So if you don't have like a hot towel or even a towel and then taking a blow dryer and just kind of like putting a little bit of heat to just kind of open it up a little bit, that would be perfect too. So it's more of like a hot oil treatment.
Is it a wet hot towel or a dry hot towel?
Both. I mean, you can do like I wouldn't recommend like hot towel, but you can put like warm water and kind of just wrap your hair up how we normally do when we get out of the shower. Or you can just put a regular towel, and just even a regular towel, with, even if you don't do it wet or use a blow dryer, it kind of holds in that heat. So you can do it wet, you can do it dry, it's up to you.
Okay, so it looks like all of the questions have been asked. You guys still have a few seconds to sneak in any other questions if you'd like for Brittany. I want to say thank you, Brittany. This was our inaugural edition of Ask the Expert. So you were a great expert to have. We really enjoyed asking all of the questions. If there was one thing that you wanted people to know, your top thing to know about hair, what would it be?
Top thing to know about hair. That's a good question. As far as like a tip or a fact or just anything.
How about a tip? Your number one hair tip.
My number one hair tip is actually when it comes to your hair, it starts from within like yourself. What you ingest and what you put into your body actually affects your hair. So, the more avocado you eat, the healthier nutrients and things like that is actually going to work from the inside out. So I would recommend, just adding a little bit more fruit, vegetables, drink a lot of water. And by drinking a lot of water, it actually helps hydrate the hair as well. So, and, then we become healthier on the inside as well.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You know me, like, well, you don't know me, but like in person, I'd be like, round of applause for Brittany, so everybody can clap at their computer screens. And thank you, Brittany. You were great.
Thank you so much, guys.
Good night.
Bye.